Story 1. The intelligence contest between a dog and a cat. One day, Max the dog and Mimi the cat decided to participate in an intelligence contest organized by their owner. Both were very confident in their abilities. The contest had many rounds, and the winner would receive a big bone and a bowl of delicious food. The first round was a riddle. The question was, what always moves forward but never turns back? Max the dog immediately barked, "A car." Mimi looked confused and replied, "No, it's time." Max laughed and said, "Cat, what do you know about time?" But Mimi didn't give up. She glanced at the clock on the wall and said, "So, the answer is time." The owner nodded and said, "Mimi is correct. Time is the answer." The next round was a speed challenge. Max the dog quickly ran around and came back with unbelievable speed, while Mimi walked leisurely, taking her time. When Max returned, all proud of his performance, Mimi was still calmly walking and said, "You don't know the most important thing in life, do you? It's not about who runs faster, it's about who goes in the right direction." Max stayed silent, feeling a little embarrassed, while Mimi received a round of applause from the owner. At the end of the contest, both Max and Mimi sat down to eat together. Although there was no clear winner, they both realized that intelligence and patience can't be measured by speed or sheer confidence. Story 2. The cat and the dog play chess. Buddy the dog and Tiger the cat decided to try playing chess. Their owner watched them with amusement, thinking it would be fun to see how they would fare. The chess game began, with Buddy choosing the white pieces and Tiger the black ones. Tiger immediately moved the knight one step forward, and Buddy stared at the board, not understanding anything. "Wait a minute," Buddy said. "What's that piece doing?" Tiger smiled and said, "Buddy, the knight moves in an L shape. Didn't you know that?" Buddy looked up, eyes wide, and said, "Oh, so that's how it's done." But Buddy then moved his rook across the board, and Tiger laughed, "That's not how you play chess." Slowly, Buddy began to lose patience and fumble with the pieces. After hours of playing, the game still hadn't reached a conclusion. Tiger sat up straight and said, "Maybe we should try something else, like playing tag." Buddy agreed, "All right, but this time I'm going to win." They both quickly ran outside and started playing tag, and in the end, neither won. But they had a great time and learned a valuable lesson about patience. Story 3. The dog and the cat go to the supermarket. One day, Buddy the dog and Whiskers the cat decided to go shopping together. Their owner was curious, wondering what would happen when they entered the supermarket. Upon entering, Buddy quickly ran to the food section, while Whiskers calmly strolled along the aisles. Buddy rushed through the vegetable section, grabbed a carrot, and started chewing on it. "I'm a dog. I have to eat vegetables," Buddy thought to himself. Whiskers, not as fast as Buddy, but knowing exactly what it wanted, slowly made its way to the canned fish aisle, pulled a can of tuna off the shelf, and looked at Buddy, saying, "This is my favorite food." "What about you, Buddy? Are you sure that carrot is better than fish?" Buddy looked up, his mouth full of carrot, and replied, "What's fish? Carrots are definitely better for your health." Whiskers gave Buddy a sharp look and said, "Dogs always think that way, but fish is the best food, I promise." Their owner watched the two animals argue about food and smiled, saying, "You're both right, but next time, choose food that suits your nature." Story 4. The dog and the cat take a walk in the park. Rocky the dog and Bella the cat were taking a walk in the park with their owner. As they passed through an area with many trees, Rocky began running around and playing with a ball, while Bella climbed a tall tree. Their owner smiled, watching them. After a while, Rocky stopped running and looked up at Bella in the tree, saying, "Bella, don't you feel itchy? You're climbing a tree." Bella looked down and replied, "For me, climbing trees is just part of life. As for you, Rocky, I think you're only good at running after balls." Rocky didn't give up. "I'm better than you." I can run around without stopping. Bella raised an eyebrow and said, "All right, challenge accepted. Run around that tree." Rocky happily agreed and started running around the tree at full speed. But when he passed by, he noticed Bella relaxing on a branch, looking down with a smug smile. Rocky panted, out of breath, and said, "Cat, you're better than me." Bella gave him a glance and replied, "Yes, I know how to use space more effectively than you." Story 5. The dog and the cat play Who's Smarter. One day, Bruno the dog and Simba the cat decided to play a game to determine who was smarter. Both sat down and began to argue. Bruno said, "I can find anything in the house. I know every corner of this place." Simba wasn't going to back down. "I can solve any problem. For example, I know what to do if I get locked in a room." Finally, Bruno asked, "So, if I chase a car, can I catch it?" Simba raised an eyebrow. "No, but I can lure a bird to fly towards me and catch it." They both thought about each other's abilities and realized that there were things each of them could do better than the other. In the end, they agreed that, whether dog or cat, each species has its own unique intelligence and talents. Story 6. The dog and the cat go to the doctor. One day, Daisy the dog and Felix the cat went to the vet for their regular checkup. As they sat in the waiting room, they started talking about their experiences with the vet. Felix, the ever-cool cat, stretched and said, "I'm not worried at all. The vet loves me. I have excellent health, you know." Daisy, who was wagging her tail and looking excited, replied, "Oh, I'm not worried either. I love the vet. They always give me treats after my checkup." Felix rolled his eyes. "Treats? Well, you don't need to worry about that. I don't need treats. I'm a sophisticated cat who takes care of himself." Daisy wagged her tail harder. "Well, I don't know about you, Felix, but I'm always excited to see the vet because I know I'll get a treat. Plus, they tell me I'm a good dog." Felix gave a huff of indignation. "Well, I'm a cat. I don't need to be told I'm good. I already know I'm the best." When it was their turn to see the vet, Daisy was so happy that she nearly knocked the vet over with excitement. Felix, however, walked in calmly and gave a brief nod to the vet as if he were royalty. After their checkups, the vet smiled and said, "Daisy, you're as healthy as ever. And Felix, you're still the picture of grace and elegance, as always." Daisy wagged her tail even more vigorously, while Felix simply looked at the vet and replied, "I already knew that." Story 7. The dog and the cat take a bath. One sunny afternoon, the owner decided it was time for Daisy the dog and Felix the cat to take a bath. Daisy, who loved the water, couldn't wait to jump into the tub, but Felix had other ideas. Daisy barked excitedly, "Come on, Felix. The water's great." Felix, on the other hand, was sitting on the edge of the bathroom, looking at the tub like it was a giant pool of doom. "I'm not getting in that thing," Felix said firmly. "I'm a cat. Cats don't take baths. We keep ourselves clean." Daisy wagged her tail and splashed around in the water. "It's so fun. You don't know what you're missing." Felix, still watching from afar, sighed. "Fun? That's not fun. I'm dignified. Cats don't roll around in water like dogs do." After some convincing, Daisy finally persuaded Felix to at least dip his paw in the water. Hesitant but curious, Felix dipped one paw into the tub. "Okay, this isn't so bad," he admitted. "But I'm still not getting in." Daisy, wagging her tail furiously, jumped out of the tub and shook the water off, spraying Felix in the process. "Oops," Daisy exclaimed. Felix gave her a dirty look and muttered, "I knew this was a terrible idea." But as Felix looked at Daisy, laughing and having fun, he couldn't help but think, maybe it's not so bad after all. Story 8. The cat and dog solve a mystery. One day, Daisy the dog and Felix the cat were lying lazily on the couch when suddenly they heard a strange noise in the kitchen. Felix, with his sharp senses, jumped up immediately and Daisy followed, her tail wagging excitedly. "Do you hear that?" Daisy barked. "It sounds like something's in the kitchen." Felix narrowed his eyes and said, "It's probably nothing. But let's check it out." They sneaked into the kitchen and saw that the garbage can had been knocked over, with trash scattered all over the floor. Felix instantly put on his detective face. It's a mystery. Who could have done this? Daisy sniffed the floor, excitedly wagging her tail. "I think I know. I think it was that sneaky raccoon from next door." Felix shook his head. "No, Daisy. Raccoons don't come this far. This is a job for a sharp cat like me." Felix circled the kitchen, inspecting everything carefully. Daisy, however, was already sniffing around the garbage can. "I'm sure the culprit's nearby," Daisy barked. After a few minutes of investigation, Felix looked up at Daisy, who was standing next to an open window. "Aha," Felix said, pointing his paw dramatically. "I've solved the mystery." "Really?" Daisy asked, eager to know. Felix smirked. "It was you, Daisy. You knocked over the trash when you were looking for a treat." Daisy looked guilty and laughed. "I guess you're right, Felix. I'm sorry. I just couldn't resist." Story 9. The Dog and Cat's Acting Audition. One day, Daisy the dog and Felix the cat decided to try acting in a play. Their owner was putting on a little show for the family and invited them to audition. Daisy bounded into the audition room, wagging her tail excitedly. "I'm ready. I can play the hero," she barked. Felix sauntered in, looking around the room with his usual calm demeanor. "All right," the owner said. "Let's see what you can do. Daisy, you go first." Daisy performed her hero routine, running around in circles and jumping in the air like she was saving the world. Her tail wagged furiously as she barked, "I'm here to save the day." Felix, watching from the sidelines, yawned dramatically. "That's not how you act like a hero," he said. "Watch and learn." Felix stepped up to the stage and gave a slow, dramatic look to the audience. He then sat down, elegantly curled his tail around his paws, and meowed in the most refined tone. "I am the king of this stage. The hero, the villain, and the mastermind, all in one." Daisy looked at Felix and said, "That was very dramatic. But you didn't even move." Felix smiled smugly. "True acting comes from within, Daisy. It's not about running around. It's about presence." The owner, amused by the antics of both animals, declared, "You both are excellent actors, but Daisy, you'll be the hero, and Felix, you'll be the mysterious, elegant villain." Daisy wagged her tail, happy with her role, while Felix nodded graciously. "I'm happy with being the villain. It suits me." Story 10. The Dog and the Cat's New Year's Resolution. As the new year approached, Daisy the dog and Felix the cat decided they should make New Year's resolutions. Daisy, being the energetic dog she was, immediately started brainstorming. "I'm going to run even faster this year," Daisy exclaimed. "I'll chase every ball and catch every frisbee. I'll be the fastest dog in the world." Felix, however, was a bit more reflective. He looked out the window at the birds and said, "My resolution is to sleep more peacefully and be even more mysterious." Daisy barked, "Mysterious? You're already mysterious, Felix. What about getting more treats?" Felix tilted his head, considering this. "Treats? Maybe I'll work on being more disciplined and less greedy when it comes to food." Daisy thought for a moment. "Well, I'll try to nap more and not be so hyper all the time," she said, wagging her tail. Felix nodded. "I think we'll both need more naps. It's the secret to wisdom." As the clock struck midnight, Daisy and Felix looked at each other, both feeling content with their resolutions. Here's to a year of running, sleeping, and mystery, Felix said. Agreed, barked Daisy, ready to chase after another ball. Story 11. The dog and the cat start a business. One day, Daisy the dog and Felix the cat decided to start their own business. We're brilliant entrepreneurs, Daisy barked, wagging her tail. Felix gave her a long, calculating look and replied, "We're not just brilliant, we're destined for success." What's our business idea? Daisy thought for a moment, then her ears perked up. We could open a doggy and kitty spa. You know, grooming, pampering, and treats for all the pets in town. Felix, who was always more methodical, thought it over. I like the idea, but we need a plan. First, we need to make sure we have the best services. I'll handle the luxury pampering side. I know how to get a good massage. You can take care of the dog bath area. Daisy nodded eagerly, though she had no idea what a massage was. Great. I'll even set up a fetch area for the dogs to burn off their energy while waiting. The next day, they opened Paws and Whiskers, the ultimate pet spa. The grand opening was a huge success, with pets lining up outside for their first taste of luxury. Daisy ran around with towels, giving the dogs baths while Felix quietly supervised the feline guests with grace and style. But when it was time for Daisy to give a dog a bath, chaos ensued. Water splashed everywhere, and the dog ran around in circles, shaking water all over the place. Felix calmly fixed the situation by giving the dog a royal treatment with a brush and some gentle massage. By the end of the day, they had made a decent profit. "We did it, Felix," Daisy barked. "Our business is a hit." Felix, now covered in a bit of fur and a lot of water, purred, "It's only the beginning. But first, let's take a nap. We deserve it." Story 12. The dog and the cat's first trip to the beach. One summer day, Daisy the dog and Felix the cat decided to go to the beach for the first time. Daisy, always excited about new adventures, jumped into the car with her tail wagging. "I can't wait. I'll run along the shore and dig holes in the sand," she barked. Felix, on the other hand, climbed into the back seat with an air of sophistication. "The beach sounds like a terrible place for a cat. Sand everywhere, and the water is far too wet. But I will accompany you, of course." When they arrived at the beach, Daisy immediately ran toward the water, barking excitedly as she splashed around. Felix, however, carefully stepped onto the sand, looking uncomfortable. "This is ridiculous. How do you walk on this powdery substance?" Daisy, completely oblivious, ran in circles, kicking up sand. "It's fun. You should try it, Felix. The water's great." Felix glared at the ocean, then sat on a towel, grooming himself with a dignified air. "No, thank you. I prefer to keep my paws dry. Cats don't like getting wet." But after watching Daisy play, Felix became intrigued. He cautiously dipped one paw into the water. The waves lapped at his foot, and he hissed in surprise. "This is absurd. I'm a cat, not a fish." Daisy, laughing, trotted over. "See, it's fun. Come on, the water's fine." Felix glared at the ocean one last time and said, "If I'm going to get wet, it's going to be on my terms." He carefully walked into the water, trying to keep his paws as high as possible, and ended up getting soaked. By the end of the day, Daisy was happily rolling in the sand, while Felix reluctantly admitted, "I suppose it wasn't the worst experience. But I'll be taking a bath as soon as we get home." Story 13. The dog and the cat go to the park. One day, Daisy the dog and Felix the cat decided to take a trip to the local park. "I love the park," Daisy barked as she ran ahead, her tail wagging excitedly. Felix followed at a slower pace, making sure to step around puddles and not get his paws dirty. At the park, Daisy immediately ran to the first dog she saw, ready to play. "Let's chase the ball," she barked, but the other dog looked at her and said, "I don't want to play right now. I'm too tired." Daisy's excitement didn't fade. "That's okay. I'll find someone else," she said, running off. Felix, however, found a cozy spot in the shade and settled down. "I think I'll just nap here. This whole park thing is overrated." As Daisy ran around, she spotted a squirrel and decided to chase it. She barked excitedly and dashed after the squirrel, but it quickly climbed up a tree and escaped. Daisy stopped in her tracks, panting. "Oh well, maybe next time." Felix, who had been watching the entire ordeal, sauntered over with a smug look. "You do realize you'll never catch a squirrel, right? They're much faster and more agile than you." Daisy, panting, sat down on the grass. "Maybe you're right, but it's fun trying." Felix nodded sagely. "That's the difference between you and me. I prefer to watch from a distance and appreciate things for what they are. But I suppose your enthusiasm is admirable." Daisy wagged her tail. "Thanks, Felix. Let's go home now. I had a great time." Story 14. The Dog and the Cat's Cooking Class. Daisy the dog and Felix the cat signed up for a cooking class together. They were going to learn how to make homemade treats for pets, and both were excited for different reasons. Daisy, of course, was thinking about all the delicious food she would get to taste, while Felix was more interested in how the dishes were presented. As they entered the class, Daisy's tail was wagging furiously, while Felix walked in with an air of quiet sophistication. The instructor, a friendly woman, greeted them. "Welcome to our cooking class. Today, we're making treats for your pets." Daisy's ears perked up. "I'm going to love this." Felix, however, was already inspecting the countertops. "I trust you have all the finest ingredients, and that everything is prepared with the utmost precision?" The instructor smiled. "Of course, Felix. Everything will be perfect." Daisy immediately started sniffing the ingredients, her nose twitching with excitement. "What's this? Peanut butter? I love peanut butter." Felix, who was more refined, carefully sniffed the ingredients one by one. "I suppose a little peanut butter wouldn't hurt as long as it's organic." The class went on and Daisy was busy mixing and tasting the ingredients, while Felix focused on arranging everything neatly and carefully. When it was time to bake, Daisy couldn't wait to see the treats come out of the oven. Finally, the treats were ready, and Daisy immediately tried one. "Yum! These are so good," she exclaimed, her tail wagging happily. Felix, on the other hand, took a delicate bite, his face expressionless. "Not bad, but I believe they could have used a bit more flavor. Maybe a touch of rosemary?" Daisy rolled her eyes. "Felix, they're dog treats. They don't need rosemary." Felix sniffed again, clearly unimpressed. Well, at least they're edible." Story 15. The Dog and the Cat Become Detectives. Daisy the dog and Felix the cat decided to become detectives. They had seen enough mystery shows on TV and figured they could solve crimes too. "Let's do this," Daisy barked, bouncing on her paws. "We'll solve the biggest mysteries in town." Felix, looking serious, adjusted his imaginary detective hat. "I'm in, but first we need a case." It didn't take long for a case to present itself. Their owner came into the living room, looking frustrated. "Someone has eaten my lunch," she exclaimed. "I left it on the counter, and now it's gone." Daisy immediately jumped into action. "We're on the case. Felix, let's investigate." Felix, who was already inspecting the area, nodded. "First, we need to analyze the evidence." He sniffed the counter and the floor. "There's a trace of cheese on the floor. And a bit of tuna." Daisy, too, sniffed around excitedly. "I can smell some peanut butter, too. Wait, it was you, wasn't it?" Felix gave her an annoyed look. Don't be ridiculous, Daisy. I am a cat. I do not consume such mundane foods as peanut butter. But I know who the culprit is. Daisy's eyes widened. Who? Felix pointed dramatically to the kitchen table. It was the hamster. Look, there's peanut butter on the chair where he usually sits. This can only mean one thing. Daisy tilted her head. The hamster? But he's too small to reach the counter. Felix smirked. Daisy, it's called teamwork. The hamster worked with the parrot to distract us. While we were busy, the hamster climbed the counter and stole the lunch. Their owner laughed. You two are clever.